Thank you very much, Bob. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that race as much as we did. What an incredible fight all the way through the field. And not least, of course, between teammates here in the crowd. I'm sure you've had a good time, and back at home, the many millions of people watching this on TV. We've seen an extraordinary motor race today. Looking down at the cars in Parc Fermé, 2 Red Bulls down there, and the victorious cars, and many of the men and women around who helped make those successes possible. And of course, on this day in history, the best 3 drivers in the world up here on the podium. We're going to start with you, Sebastian, your 27th victory. You now match Sir Jackie Stewart with that, but it looked pretty close out there on laps 43 and 44. Take us through that.
Yeah, obviously it was a very close wheel-to-wheel racing. I think there wasn't much room for either of us, so obviously it was a tight battle, but I think probably I was a little bit too keen too soon, because I obviously in terms of strategy was on the soft tyre towards the end of the softer compound, and felt I had a little bit more, so yeah, obviously enjoyed the fight, had the upper hand in the end, but throughout the whole race I think it was very close. Mark was always a little bit ahead. I stuck in traffic. Yeah, in the middle of the race I wasn't quite sure about the strategy, but towards the end it seemed to work very well, because we were able to save that extra set, and it gave us a little bit more speed.
Now obviously there's going to be some friction. We heard on your team radio, congratulations, but there's some explaining to do. I mean, how do you feel about the race itself in that respect?
I think obviously it's very hot today, and I think if there's something to say, we need to talk internally, but for sure I think we both enjoyed that. Of course, I'm standing in the middle now, so I enjoyed it probably a little bit more, but yeah, I think we have plenty of time to talk about.
Probably a good time for me to walk across and speak to Mark and see how he felt about it. You had a great race, Mark. The tyres worked well for you, the early part. You had a great start. It's not always your strongest suit, but you're in good shape at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, the first part of the Grand Prix went very well for us. I think very tricky conditions for all of us on the intermediates to start with. And in the end, yeah, we got the right strategy. I think early in the race on the inters, getting this crossover quite nice. And then just really it was controlling the race and you know, getting everything in place really towards the back end of the race. Obviously I had to mark Lewis off a little bit in the middle there. And then after this last stop, obviously the team told me that the race was over, and we turned the engines down, and we go to the end. So I won a race as well, but in the end the team yeah, made a decision, which we always say before the start of the race is probably how it's going to be. We look after the tyres, get the cut at the end, and in the end Seb made his own decisions today, and we'll have protection as usual, and that's the way it goes.
So you were surprised when he came past you?
Yeah, well, I turned my engine down and started cruising on the tyres, and then the fight was on. So anyway, we know he's a quick peddler, but I was disappointed with the outcome of today's race, and in the end, team did a good job. I had some good fans here from Australia, so thanks guys. I did my best, and yeah, cheers. Can you take any positives away from today? Yeah, I think there was a lot of things which I did pretty well. So from my driving wide, like I say at the start, the inters, there's a lot of areas where you can get that wrong, obviously like Fernando, which is unusual for him. So in the end, the consistency, the pace, obviously you've got to drive very slow on these tyres. We're not pushing flat out as usual. All the leaders are driving very slow to save the tyres.
Okay,